Hi guys, welcome back to Diaries of a 20-something. I'm Paige Marquez, your host. We are in a different location today. I decided to switch it up. My mom and her boyfriend brought my desk today, so I kind of wanted to podcast from here because I've missed this chair so much. Today we're going to be talking about all things that I wish I knew before I became an adult and moving to a new city. I had already lived alone in college, so I already knew how to take care of myself and like my place, when it comes to cooking, cleaning, and things like that. But there's so many things that do change once you become a real adult. And I feel like it's just not really talked about. I mean, no one ever talked to me about these things in a way that resonated with me, at least. Moving out, and especially moving to a new city, is such a interesting part of adulthood. And I feel like it often begins at the start of adulthood. And I just want to help you guys become a little prepared. So let's get right into it. So I kind of want to touch on first just the financial realities of adulthood, because I feel like my parents never really sat me down and was like, okay, this is what it's going to be like. I think they've mentioned things here and there to me, but no one actually sat me down and really explained the cold hard truth to it. When you start your first big girl job, you are making more money than you've ever made in your life, regardless if it's a lot of money on a grand scheme of things. It's still a lot to you regardless, because you have never made money like that. Every time I get paid, I'm like, whoa, like, wow. But the truth is that it goes really, really fast. And I feel like there's a rule of thumb that 30% of what you make should go towards, rent and utilities and fixed costs. But after talking to a couple of my friends that are now, in the same position as me, just started real jobs, and that's just doesn't seem to be the reality. And this could just be where I live, because where I live, the cost of living is very high. I'm right outside of New York, if anyone is wondering. The reality is that most people are paying 50%, if not more than that, towards rent. And I am about that as well. I'm about 50%, maybe a little bit more. It's a hard thing to adjust to. It's hard to not be able to enjoy any of your money. Like when you have a job in college or high school or whatever, I feel like the money is more towards fun things and you can use your entire paycheck, but it's just not the reality, because in my mind, I know, okay, if I'm going to be making 2 paychecks this month, sometimes it's 3 depending on where it falls. But if I'm making 2 paychecks, I can literally only enjoy 1 or a little bit less than 1. And that's fine. Like, I love my life. I love living here. And I understand that living here is more than most places. But at the same time, I do wish I could enjoy it a little bit more. Your paychecks and the money that you're making seems like so much because it's more than you've ever made before in your life, but it goes so quickly. And I think that there is some things that need to be talked about, like the importance of an emergency fund. About a month ago, I ended up in the ER because of a kidney infection, and I didn't have health insurance here. I still don't, because my health insurance only works in Florida unless it's an emergency room visit. Now I have a $700 bill that I haven't paid, and I don't know when I'm gonna pay it, because genuinely I just can't afford it right now, and that's just the reality of the situation. And I feel like being transparent with you guys is really important. I know people are weird about talking about finances, but I am not, and I'm just kind of gonna lay it all out for you. I would not be able to be where I am without the help from my parents, more so my dad. He helps me so much. I would not be able to live the life that I live and enjoy the life that I live if it weren't for him. He pays half of my rent, and I do everything else, like utilities, Wi-Fi, stuff like that. And I do also have access to his credit card if I need it. But that's also another thing, is learning to be financially independent even with that help. I don't want to be leeching off my dad. I don't enjoy the feeling behind using his credit card, but sometimes it's like, am I going to eat this week? I don't use his credit card for fun things. I just use it for necessities like groceries or sometimes a prescription. There's also so many hidden costs of adulthood that nobody really talks about. And right now, my biggest hidden cost is furniture and just getting my apartment together, because I still don't have a couch and a TV. However, However, I did an Amazon order today and everything else is done. Those things, just furniture and things like that, have been my biggest enemy when it comes to budgeting. And, like I have like this gorgeous, crazy apartment in Hoboken, and it's insane to even think about. I have about a little more than 900 square feet, which is honestly so hard to come by in an area like this. But I didn't realize that I barely have enough furniture to fill one room because all of my apartments in college were furnished. I didn't realize how much it was going to cost me to furnish this place and just like make it not so echoey, because my room finally isn't echoey, but every other room is. And there's still like things that I need that I haven't gotten, and I'll get there. But it's just like doing things slowly, and I know it's going to take time, and that is okay. But I'm starting to just get a little impatient with it. I would say, as like a general thing, that about 70% of the money I make goes towards necessary things, and that is groceries, rent, utilities, other bills here and there. And the problem is because of the cost of living is so big here, and because I'm right outside New York City, everything is generally more expensive. Going out here and just like having a social life in general is very expensive here. I would say one night out here cost me like 3-4 times as much as it would in college, maybe even more than that. Another thing is just like living independently. When I say that, there is a lot to unpack there. Like I said, I've lived alone in college, so I know how to take care of an apartment. I know how to take care of myself. However, when you are working so much, it is very hard to find the time to be able to do the things that you want to do. And like when I say things you want to do, like, like house chores and like whatever, things like that, it can be very hard to find the time to do it. And often I find myself dedicating my entire day off to like doing things like that. And it's like, great, now I'm back at work for 6 days in a row. I'm not saying that it's hard to do that. It's just hard to prioritize your time, and learning how to prioritize your time. Like I haven't really been sleeping much because there's generally no time to, and that sucks. This goes for cooking as well. Cooking is something I used to enjoy a lot. It was something that I loved doing on my downtime. It would just calm me, relax me in the same way that cleaning does, but those two things don't calm or relax me anymore. They just more stress me out. Also, that's the thing about having a 900 square foot apartment. It takes me about double the amount of time to deep clean this place as it did my college apartment, which is fine. I also have hardwood floors, so they're just horrible to clean. I don't know if you guys have any experience with it. These things that you used to enjoy often feel like they're becoming chores. And it's not that they weren't chores before. The mindset about them was different. And like tying back a little bit into finances, when you're working so much, it's hard to just not get takeout to eat, because my hours are 11 to 8. So it's nice because I get a little late start, but I also don't leave till 8. So there's the downside to it. When I get off work at 8 o'clock after working 9 hours, I get home and then I'm like, great, now I have to cook dinner. Like it's just like a whole thing. I normally don't end up eating dinner until 9 o'clock. So sometimes I'll like get takeout, and I know that majority of my unnecessary spending goes towards food. I'm aware of that, and it's always been like that even in college. It's just learning how to adjust the mindset around it. Like I have been trying so hard to cook more regardless, and now that I have all of my stuff, like all my kitchen stuff, it's been a lot easier. Like that first like month I was living here and I didn't have any of my kitchen stuff, I was eating out like 2 times a day sometimes because I genuinely couldn't cook anything. It was horrible. It's also like managing your own schedule and your own time. This is like the first time in my life where I don't really have any structure besides work. But the thing is, like, your time is not your own because you work so much. So, like all of these things tie in together, and it's just learning how to do that. And I'm slowly getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I have a game plan for each day off. Today was my day off and I woke up at 7:30 because I had a lot of stuff to do. Like I haven't slept in a really long time, like definitely like 2 months. I find myself staying up later because I get so little me time and decompressing time that I find myself staying up so much later at night because I'm trying to like savor the amount of me time that I'm getting. which then causes me to be exhausted the next day. And then it like continues the cycle. So I'm trying to change that. But it's also like general loneliness. Like I don't think I'm lonely, but there's definitely moments where it's not that I wish I had more friends. That's not what it is. It's just that everybody is so busy. Your friendships, like they change so much. Like when everybody is working full time, it's so hard to not only make plans, but like just be there for your friends when they need something. You know, like you're never available because you're working or like you're trying to savor the small amount of me time that you get. I'm sorry if this podcast episode is kind of coming off depressing. I'm not trying to make it that way. I do love my life and I'm very happy. I'm just trying to like be super real with you guys about like the things I wasn't expecting. But I talked a little bit more about this in another episode, how making friends in the real world is so difficult. And it's because of the amount of effort that you have to put in because of the lack of any kind of social structure that you now don't have in your life. So it can feel kind of isolating, especially when you just move to a new place. It's just finding community and finding your ground in a new place. And it's very hard to do because as many people as there are living in a city, like Hoboken is literally a square mile and I'm pretty sure like 70,000 people live here, which is insane. Like there's so many people here, but you can like feel so alone. And I don't feel alone, but like there's definitely moments where I'm like, damn, like I wish I had something to do. And it's like normally on my days off after all my errands are done, I'm like, wow, I wish I could do something. It's also like one of my best friends, Sydney, she lives in the city, takes me about 20 minutes to get to her apartment and I probably see her once a week. And it's not her fault, it's not my fault. I mean, we're both just busy, I guess. I haven't experienced this yet, but I know that this is a really big thing, like being homesick. I haven't experienced this yet, I think because I was so bored of Florida as a whole. And this, I'm not trying to say like Florida sucks, like Florida doesn't suck. I'm just saying like I lived there like my whole life and I was just really ready to explore a new place. So I haven't been like homesick in the sense where I miss Florida, but I do miss my family. But it also helps that my mom is here. My mom moved to New Jersey or back to New Jersey. She was born and raised here a couple years ago. And the last couple years, I've barely seen my mom. So it is kind of nice in that sense because now I get to see her so much more. But like I don't get to see my dad that much. And I don't get to see my sister that much. You think that you're gonna like calling them all the time and FaceTiming them all the time. Like sometimes there's just not enough time in the day. And sometimes you just don't get around to it. Like sometimes I don't talk to my dad for like 4 or 5 days and I'm like, wait, like this is weird because in college I called him every day. It's just like weird. Your priorities just shift so much and not in a bad way, but they do. And sometimes things get a little left behind. And I'm sure like once this place becomes super familiar to me and whatever, like I'll start becoming actually homesick. Everything is just so new and exciting here. I can't really get homesick. However, there are some moments where mainly at night when it's cold outside, I'm like, I wish I was in Florida. But then again, I love the weather here because I have seasons and the leaves are starting to fall and it feels very autumn-like and I like it a lot. There's also like lessons in adulting, you know, like learning how to advocate for yourself. You know, I feel like even in college, your parents are helping you advocate for yourself at least, but like now it's you versus you. There's nobody else in the picture and there's nobody that's going to be able to help you with anything. Like it's fully up to you. You have to advocate for yourself. And that can be hard, I think, especially when you have some kind of lingering amount of social anxiety. I mean, it can be hard to stand up for yourself. I think I always had an issue with that, but I'm just now realizing it because I never had to advocate for myself before, besides like at the doctor, admitting and accepting the fact that sometimes you will need help and it is okay to ask for help regardless if the help is given or not. I feel like such a big part of life right now, like we want to do these things on our own. We want to be able to be financially independent and we want to become like real functioning members of society. And while that's great, it can be really hard to ask, you know, your parents for help if you need something. When you have people that haven't done this kind of transition before, like telling you what you should be doing, that has really started to piss me off. And I know it's not coming from like a negative place or anything, but there have been moments where some of my friends and family have mentioned things that like I should be doing and I should be doing better for myself. Like, it's like you haven't even become an adult yet. You know, it's just like it's not as simple as it seems. Like, I'm not shallow. I knew that being an adult was going to be hard. I just didn't realize that it was going to be this hard. And it mainly comes down to finances and stuff. At the end of the day, that seems to be the common theme, but it has to do with a lot of things, like things I've talked about already. Like admitting when you need help and asking for help is a part of adulthood. It's how you become humble. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to have no idea what you're doing and no idea what you want. It is okay. Like, that is a part of growing up. That's a part of being in your 20s. And that is what makes our 20s so great, honestly. And if I could go back, 2 things that I would do differently, I would definitely not rush anything. Throughout my life, whenever I get really excited about something, I always tend to rush it. And it's okay to be excited about something, but you don't have to rush everything. A month before I moved to New Jersey, I told my dad, I was like, I need to move there sooner. I was getting like really antsy in Florida and I just really wanted to get out. And like, I was like planning to move here like without a job first and everything. And then I ended up getting a job. So like, whatever, I had to move anyway. But originally I wanted to move before I got a job. And looking back, like, had I done that, that would have been not good. But then I ended up getting a job. I feel like it was low-key a form of manifestation. I was like, I'm moving there. I'm going to get a job like once I'm up there. And then I got a job. I want to say like a week later. It was kind of crazy. Like, you don't need to have the perfect apartment. You don't need to have the perfect setup. Just like enjoy the journey of it. I didn't really see that fully. I definitely could have paid more attention to how good I had it at home. And even like when I was living at my grandpa's house for like a month, like I spent so much time with him and I'm so grateful for that. But like in the moment I was like, I just want an apartment. I just want an apartment. You know what I mean? And you just like don't realize like what you have until you don't have it anymore. And that is something that I'm trying to get a lot better on. I'm trying to be able to take a step back and focus on what I do have rather than what I don't. And it's been working pretty well for me, I think. But it's also like planning ahead. And when I say that moving to a new city and signing a real lease and just, you know, paying rent and whatever, like everything like that, before you uproot your life and move to a new place, make sure that you have as much money saved as possible, because the amount of money that I have taken out of my savings is like insane. And I'm working on building it back up because I never really took out of my savings. So when I started to take out of it, it would always give me anxiety. And I haven't taken anything out of it in a month. It's kind of scary, like seeing it just go and you're like, wait, no, just have as much money as you possibly can saved and put away and just ready for anything. Like if I had more savings, my apartment would be done. And it's not like I don't have anything left. Like I could pay those medical bills. I could finish my apartment right now, but like I just like don't want to, I don't like taking out of it. I'm trying to rebuild it and replenish it. So it's taking time and that's okay. Living alone and just living in the real world, especially in this kind of area, is so expensive. I mean, it is so expensive to live. It's like insane. Now for some lovely, lovely Dear Diaries. We have 2 to answer today. The first one is, when do you know if it's time to let go of someone? I'm assuming that this is referring to a man. You need to let go when you reach a point where you are defending their actions, for making excuses for their lack of actions. I would say that is the time when you should really consider letting go of somebody and deciding to end something. Second one, pretty quick. Do you still want to move to New York City? Yes, I do. Not at the moment. I feel like Hoboken is a great transitional spot. I don't really know if I fully want to move to New York anytime soon. I really do like where I'm at. So yes and no. Not right now, but eventually, yes. So this was Diaries of a 20-something, episode 19, which is kind of insane. And in honor of the 20th episode, I have a very fun episode for you guys planned, and I'm super excited. I am going to be playing a game called Bad Date Bingo. And you guys on the Instagram, I'll put it here, here. Write in your horrible bad date stories, and I will play bingo and also tell you guys about my worst bad date stories. I feel like it'll be really fun. I love when you guys are a part of the episode. It really makes it more of a conversation and less about me, and I hate that. So thank you guys so much for all the support that you guys have been giving me. I really appreciate it. I hope this episode wasn't too depressing. I didn't want it to be depressing. I just know that it was just real stuff that needed to be talked about. Like, share, and subscribe. Follow the Instagram, and I will see you guys next Friday. Miss J wants to make her debut, guys. Hold on. Very important words. Thank you, Miss J. Thanks for your input. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys next Friday. Bye.